Okay, hopefully this connection is better. Anya, I'm gonna add you here. Send. Um, Once you're on, Anya, do you want to just request to join the live with me? Hey, everyone who's joining, if you can just let me know if you can hear us fine. I'm just waiting for Anya to join me. Yes. Yay. Just waiting for Anya to connect now, and then we'll go live. Yay! Okay, we're working now.
Okay. Okay.
I
Can you
can
hear
hear.
me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can
Amazing.
you hear me?
I can. Thank you for joining me on.
Awesome. If anyone else can, who's here, can just comment whether or not you can hear us. Hi, Andre. That's my husband. um, if you can just give us a wave if you can hear us fine, and then we'll get going.
Great.
Perfect. Okay, yay. I have two phones set up in case a disaster happens with one of them. But
Good.
perfect. Okay, awesome. Everyone can hear us. Shall we kick off then, babe?
Yes, let's do it. Thank you for joining us, whoever's on live tonight or who's going to listen to the replay. I think coming into the new year, Amie and I are really feeling like we need to step up and really share this offering of Sustainability 5.0 that we've been working on the past, is it 6 months?
Something like that.
Yeah, and really kind of dive into the themes of it because it's not really that straightforward or clear, we're realizing. It's so multifaceted, and yeah, we want to share some ideas tonight. And I think we're going to make this a regular thing, hey?
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
coming on here, seeing our faces, getting to know one another, and sharing our ideas around this upgraded version of sustainability for, both our backgrounds of fashion, but really this is talking about all creativity. It really relates to everyone because everyone creates, whether
Mm.
that's, fashion art or whether that's words, just cooking, whatever. So yeah, I'm excited. Um,
Me too.
yeah.
Maybe we should kick off with our names just in case we have new
Mm,
people joining us. That would be helpful.
yes.
So
So I'm
I'm
Anya.
Amy and Anya. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. A and
Amy and
A.
Anya is A and A.
Easy. Easy.
Easy to remember. And I'm
Yeah.
based in Auckland, New Zealand.
And I'm in Sydney, Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, so tonight we were going to kick off and we're going to talk about rhythms and tuning into your own rhythm for 2019. And that's what we're going to dive into later on as we get going. But we really wanted to kind of, as we've had a lot of new people join us on our Instagram account over the last little while, as we've been quiet having a break, we want to kind of introduce what Sustainability 5.0 is for people who don't actually understand what it is or are new to our
Mm,
account. Um, and we were having a conversation today, which
mm,
was really interesting because it really defined for us what it was that we're here to do, because neither of us feel that we're just here to serve as a fashion consultancy agency or as a, as hosting events or to provide you with solutions.
mm.
And we've been trying to feel into what does it look like? How do we articulate this to people? Because it's not something that either of us have encountered in this an offering. And what is it?
You're,
How do we
you're
put
breaking
words to
up
it
a
so
little
that you
bit.
can understand? Exactly.
Exactly. You broke up just a little bit there at the end.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we've
What
just
was
been
that
trying to
last
feel
part?
into like we've just been trying to feel into what does that look like? How do we articulate that offering for you guys? And
Mm.
in this moment,
Are you
Can you
there?
hear me? Yeah.
Having a little bit of technical difficulty. Yeah, it's just cutting out a little bit.
Okay, hold on. I'll see if
Can
if
you
it
hear
helps if
me?
I'm. Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, out in and out a little bit.
Okay, hold on. I'll see if I can move.
Okay,
Can
awesome.
everyone hear Anya? Maybe you can just chat while I
Yeah,
move.
can everyone hear me? Okay, I think it's all, yeah, you're a little bit
Okay.
fuzzy. Yeah, so we were talking this morning about articulating what we're here to do, and really there isn't anything like this out at the moment. And I attended the Sustainable Fashion Conference last year in London, and Otto von Busch, who's a sustainable fashion researcher and designer, proposed this idea of what if fashion designers were doulas, guiding people along the way through various different shopping experiences, etc. And then we were chatting with Amie today, and that is, I feel, what our role is going to be, not by guiding people through shopping experiences, but through guiding people back to the connection to themselves, to their communities, and to nature, and really so that they can then put that back into their work through conversations, experiences online, and also we're planning this year in real life experiences, which is very exciting. How are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
it?
And I think
Mm,
that that was such a for us when we were speaking about that, it was such an interesting way to think about it for us because I feel like we had been thinking, okay, how do we offer solutions? How do we provide solutions for people? And we came to this realization this afternoon that that is not at all our job. What our job is to help put people in touch with the right questions so that they find the answers for themselves. Because I feel like in this stage
exactly.
um, of where our world's at this moment, what's really required right now is that each of us finds the rhythm that suits us, and each of us finds what that looks like. What does sustainability look like within my business, or within whatever industry I'm in, or within my own personal life? What does that look like? And
Mm,
there is no one answer to all of that. There's no way, like, you can't just go, okay, here's the solution. This is what everybody can do. It's really about helping to guide you to connect with those answers for yourself as they look like for you, for your business, for your personal life, for your industry. And those will look different for every single person. And so it's helping to connect back into those different elements that
mm,
we touch on in Sustainability 5.0, which is guiding you back to connection with yourself, guiding you back to connection with Source, guiding you back to connection with Mother Earth, and guiding you back to connection with those ancient and indigenous wisdoms that are there for us. And really just helping to be a guide to that. And so that
mm,
conversation this afternoon was so powerful because it
mm.
really is just like being a doula. We're not there to do anything except to remind you to breathe and to guide you through a process rather than giving you all the answers.
Exactly. And really helping, I think, people come back into their own power
Yep.
and do things their own way. So we'll be offering, lots of different viewpoint suggestions, but by all means, only take what feels good to you, because we're bombarded
Mm,
continually with information, with dogma, with how we should be doing things, and it's different for everyone. So you need to work that out
mm.
yourself, and you can, and we're going to help you navigate that process. Yeah, and yeah, this year, should we maybe share a little bit about what we have planned for the year, just
Yes,
briefly?
go for it.
Yeah, so this year, we're gonna, yeah, continue building this online community through doing different lives. We want to interview more designers, really encompassing some elements of Sustainability 5.0 within their businesses and creatives. And we also want to span into the real life arena through experiences. So,
Yes, I'm so excited about this.
yeah, so going to be planning, don't know how much we can say at the moment, a sustainability summit. It'll be around mid-year, but it'll be online. But it'll be bringing together, really different perspectives around sustainability, around heart-centered business, around indigenous wisdom and culture, around community collaboration. And I don't think anything like that's been done before, like
No.
I think on the viewpoint that we're coming from it at. And then in the real life arena, we'd like to do some events both in New Zealand and Australia, which, yeah, will be multi-sensory experiences around these ideas. That'll be fun, colorful, but also will involve some going in and I think deep inner work around some of these elements and concepts. And also, I think we'd like to do, some physical offerings. Like we've got the design spirit cards on the
Mm.
way, and perhaps a
I'm
few
so
other,
excited about those.
yes, perhaps a few little like e-books, e-manuals around sustainability, around our ideas. Just, it's always nice to have something physical as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think that's what we talked about, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're really
Super
excited
excited for
and
that.
super excited to see the interest growing in moving beyond the current sustainability dialogue, which is
Mm.
mainly around, fixing materials, making your supply chain transparent, you know, making sweatshop free workshops, which is all so important. But we really need a change in philosophical outlook
Mm.
if we are to make real change in the world, and lasting change and resilient change. So,
Mm.
yeah, they're the ideas that both Amie and I have been marinating in, I would say, for the past,
Marinating is the perfect word.
I love that word. And now we're so excited to bring it out in the world, and we're both got very strong nudges to do that, even though
Yeah.
it's scary.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but amazing.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm so with you on that. Like it's time for the evolution of the conversation around sustainable fashion. And I think that's a huge part for anybody who's new here and hasn't listened to our lives last year. There's a huge part of what we're here to do is to engage in that conversation with people. Because like Anya said, all of those things like transparency and ethical working conditions, all of that's super important, but it's just not enough, and that conversation's been had for
mm,
a very long time, and we really feel like that's the kind of the surface level change, but if you're not doing the inner change, then it really isn't going to be lasting, or like Anya
mm,
said, it's not going to be resilient. um, and so really engaging in a conversation that questions a bit deeper and realizes that that these issues aren't just surface level, and that we can't just fix them by changing the way, changing our supply chains and things like that. That it requires a much deeper kind of introspection and a much deeper conversation than that. And that's it.
mm,
That is a key part of the conversation, but it's just not the complete conversation.
exactly, exactly. So I think today we thought we could start the year off by chatting about rhythms and
Yes.
how we can, really cultivate our own rhythms this year based on what we want to call into the world and based on what we want to release from last year.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is such
should
a
we?
poignant time to have this conversation with the full moon,
Mm,
just having
mm,
our first full moon of the
yeah.
year. and it's just the completion of this cycle. It feels like, I don't know about you guys, but often for me, the new year doesn't feel like the new year. Like I always have these great intentions of like, yes, I'll set all my resolutions. I mean, not that I'm a big goal setter or anything, but you know, I'll go through and I'll have this time of introspection and I'll think about what my new year wants to look like. But by the time the new year comes around, I'm just so smashed from the year that's gone that none of that shit happens. And then I come back into the work year and I'm like, fuck, this hasn't even happened. I haven't gotten to the space that I've desired. And so I feel like this full moon right here, as you know, as we're entering a new phase now, is such a special time to go, okay,
Mm,
if I haven't had the opportunity to do that, now I can take this time just to be a little bit, um, just to have some awareness, to spend some time to think about this and really
mm,
enter my new year intentionally. Because I don't know about you
mm,
guys, but this feels like the new year for me. Um, a lot of stuff came up before now and is now finally ready to be let go of, but I don't feel
mm.
like I was personally ready until now to do that. And I feel like
Yeah,
it's just starting.
yeah, exactly. I totally feel you on that. Um, so I guess one of the big things with rhythms is we live in a society that tells us how things should be, how we need to work, that, you know, things need to be hard, that everything needs to be a hustle, that if we want to be successful, we need to work 20 hours a day. And then when it comes to running a creative or a fashion business or being a designer, you know, there are certain constraints within the industry that have been formulated through, you know, tens and tens of years of, you know, exploitation of over like the amount of hours you have to overwork, like which position you can get into. And really, what we'd like to kind of talk about today is how can we really tap into how we want to feel this year and then create rhythms from that place. Because ultimately, if we're setting goals, it's because we want to feel a certain way at the end when we achieve that goal. So if we can
Mm-hmm.
try and figure out how we want to feel now and then create rhythms within our business or within our life, within, you know, whatever it is that you do, that are really based on what feels right for us, not what society tells us, then maybe we will live more fulfilled and creative lives. I don't know, but what do you what do you think, Amie?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like we're given this way of doing things by society. It doesn't matter what facet of society you're coming from, there's always a prescription that's gifted to
Mm,
us that's like, here's the way of doing things. And it's funny in fashion that there's that contradiction that you have that kind of intense pressure and you have these deadlines and things like that. And on the other hand, you have this movement of
mm,
slow fashion, and yet the two juxtapose each other. And in both situations, it seems as if you're gifted um, a a set way of doing things, a set rhythm, whether it's from the slow side or whether it's from,
mm,
you know, this fast, crazy fashion pace. And even if you're not within fashion, it doesn't matter. Like you can relate this to your life. There's always a pace at which you're gifted by society,
yeah.
which society is telling you, whether you're involved in the spiritual community or the conscious community or the personal development, or just you're not
Mm,
not involved in any of those. It doesn't matter. There's always a rhythm which is prescribed to you by society, and unless we actually take the time to do some introspection and look at what rhythms suit my life, what rhythms help my creativity thrive, what rhythms help
mm,
my life to thrive, my family to thrive, my personal relationships to thrive, then, you know, we're taking someone else's rhythm on. And that can be both from taking a rhythm that's too fast and also from taking a rhythm that's too slow. Because for some of
yeah.
us, a slow rhythm just doesn't help us thrive in our creativity. And so noticing which rhythm is suiting me and where am I taking on rhythms that are not my own, um,
Mm,
and where do I have to learn how to play my own rhythms and like beat my own drum and create rhythms for myself. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Because, like, looking at nature, when we look at nature, the whole nature ecosystem is actually, if we look closely, it's made up of so many various rhythms. It's fast, slow, large, small. And because of this variance of rhythms, that's how it's able to sustain herself. So
Mm.
why are we all trying to be the same? You know, like, if we have the belief that we are part of nature, then why are we all trying to, run in the same rhythm? And I think, going back to what you just said, Amy, I think a big part of that is really tuning in to what our nervous system wants. And
Yeah.
because, we are burning ourselves out, like, speaking as someone who has done that, most people have, and most people now that I talk to suffer from some sort of mental illness. And I
Mm.
do believe that a lot of that is to do with stress and
Mm.
the pressure society puts on us, and then the rhythms that we take on to either
Yeah.
achieve, to live, to create.
Yeah.
And it's, really tapping in and looking at what does my nervous system want and need, and what does that look like? And this is really hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, like,
And I think that also on top of that, there's like these layers of rhythms. Like I feel like when I look at my own life, there's different rhythms for different areas of my life. My
yes,
mothering
yeah.
has its own rhythm. Like my children require of me this specific rhythm that helps them to feel safe
Mm,
and secure and connected to me. And that rhythm is quite
mm,
slow. They need me to be present with them. But then
mm,
my creativity thrives on a faster pace. When I'm in this creative space, my rhythm is fast. I like to make things
mm,
happen. I like to be in this kind of flow. It's this pace of like I don't know, it might seem manic to some people, but that's how my creativity thrives. So that rhythm is
mm,
faster than the rhythm of mothering for me. And then the
mm,
rhythm of my relationship with my husband is a different rhythm again. And it requires me to understand how each of those areas of my life require to be. And then my own body, like my own physical body, my soul, myself, when I think about
mm,
me as a human being and as a spiritual being, the rhythms that I require fluctuate at all times. Like some days my soul requires absolute stillness. I need to get so
mm.
slow. Like what my soul is really desiring is to get to the pace of Mother Earth, which is so slow, you know?
Yeah.
And then other days I just need to move. I need movement, I need color, I need creativity and it requires a listening, I think, into each of those spaces, but there's not just one rhythm for my life and that rhythm moves and it changes and it's literally like music. It has these moments where it's changing, it's getting louder, it's getting softer, and that's what makes it beautiful. But if we're not paying attention to that, then the song that's coming out is just so like either rah, 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 or it's nothing, you know what
Mm,
I mean? Um,
yeah, totally.
yeah, that's what I feel about rhythms when I'm
Mm,
thinking about my life.
mm. And I think it's really important to remember that we're seasonal creatures, just like
Yeah,
the earth.
so important.
And, at some points in the year, you may be working fast because you've got that inspiration, you've got that energy, and that's all good. But you need to listen to when you need to slow down. And when there's
Totally.
those moments for, going in, slowing down, cultivating those moments of presence. Yeah, I think seasons is really important, and we don't see that, especially looking
No.
at fashion. If you're a
Literally, they've
fashion
almost
brand,
completely disappeared.
they disappear. And,
Yeah.
you're creating at least 4 collections a year. And it's the same each season, the same rhythm, the same pace. There's barely any time to design. And I know other industries are the same. It's complete creation over and over and over again, where there's very little time to slow down and think and, go within. And because we lost my train of thought there. Yeah, there's little time to go within. And I think a lot of that comes from the idea that if you're not creating constantly and if you're not go, 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 then you will miss out. Then you will
Yeah.
not make that money, that you will not receive. And it's that fear, which, yeah, that's how we've been programmed to think.
Which is complete bullshit, though.
Yeah,
And I
it
think
is.
what, like, okay, maybe from a financial standpoint, go, go, go is generate, 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 but there's always, and I don't believe that completely, because I know people who are
Mm,
very in tune with their cycles and literally create, like, tapped into spirit, tapped into
yeah,
source, and they create in such a powerful way, such an intentional
mm,
way, and it by no means requires them to be constantly generating and creating at all. So I don't believe
exactly.
that. But if you want to run with that argument, fine. For the sake of this, conversation, we'll say, okay, fine, you generate based on your action, but what you do is you miss out on so much. You miss out on
Mm,
life. You miss out on the joy of the action of creating. And isn't that why us as creatives got into
mm,
creative industries? Like, if it wasn't about being creative, would we not have chosen a way fucking easier industry that probably pays you a whole lot better? I mean, let's just face it.
yes.
It's not like you're raking in the dollars here, and
Yeah,
you're getting time off, or you know what I mean? Like, there
yeah,
are better industries to choose if it isn't about creativity. So if it is about creativity, if it is really the deep desire to thrive and to create something that has meaning, then how can we do that when we're constantly borrowing somebody else's rhythm? And when we're not
exactly.
actually listening to ourselves, to our bodies, what is it that I desire? What is it that my body needs to thrive and be most creative? And
Mm,
also, you know, what is it like, what is it that if you're a business owner, or if you feel that you're working in connection with something that's bigger than yourself, the company or the business that you're
mm,
working for, as an entity, what is it that this entity is desiring to create in this world? What is that?
mm,
What does this entity want to be? What rhythm does this entity want to operate at? Because entities have their own rhythms and cycles, and like sometimes they come to a completion of a cycle before you as the human think, now's the time for this cycle to be ended. And so being in tune with that
mm,
is really powerful, I think.
totally. And I actually, Amy, I challenge that notion that action equals money. I
Mm,
think, especially as we're stepping into this new paradigm, of course, inspired action is important because we are living in a physical world. We need that physical action, but um, the time that we take to go within, to imagine, to envision from within, which, from the outside looks like you're doing nothing. It really,
mm,
like it does, but it is the foundation of everything you do.
mm,
And I think we really don't value that as a society, but we are living in a time where these concepts and ideas are becoming, like, they're sprouting out and, getting more into the mainstream. So I'm really excited to see how this, the new paradigm of work and creation um,
mm,
is going to pan out.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah. And, I think when we talk about, just going back to what you said, Amy, is the business being an entity and tapping into how the rhythm she wants to flow at, that might sound really inaccessible to a lot of people. It might sound really unimaginable because we've been conditioned to think in a certain way. And cultivating that relationship with your business, I think that really comes from really fine tuning your intuition.
Mm,
And it's a daily practice, and you need to figure out for yourself if that's going to be through meditation, through nature time, through journaling, through dance, whatever that is that brings you into that state where you completely disconnect your human mind and just
mm,
flow with the rhythm of the universe. But yeah, it's a daily practice and it's tricky, but I think once you start thinking of your business or your creativity as something that's outside of yourself, that not as something that defines who you are, then it actually becomes easier and more fun because
mm.
you're almost being given orders
Yeah.
in a way of what to do each day based on how your business wants to grow and evolve. Yeah. Hmm.
Totally. And I think also it becomes easier, like you said, it's all about intuition. It's developing that intuition, it's tapping into that intuition, but you can't do it. I mean, it's literally like a muscle. You have to work at it
Mm,
in order to grow it.
exactly.
And when you're
Exactly.
doing that, and when you're like you said, recognizing that this entity that you serve or that the business that you work for is separate from yourself, it helps you to recognize that there are different rhythms within your life.
Yeah.
Within your complete life as one person, there are different rhythms, and it helps you to develop intuition as
Mm,
to which like where rhythms fit within your life. So where is your soul's rhythm? Where is your creative rhythm? Where is your work slash business slash the entity that you serve? What is the rhythm that operates at? And like you said, it is an intuitive thing, but you have to be willing to develop that intuition. You have to be
mm,
willing to tap into that intuition, and it starts simply by doing it on a regular basis. And whether or not you
yeah.
fake that for a while and you just go with what it feels like, and just fake it to see how it feels and play around with it until it really does feel real to you, that's okay. Sometimes you just have to play with it to
Yeah.
see what it feels like, and give yourself permission to play with this new ideas of different rhythms for different areas of your life, and really acknowledging and watching what that looks like where, and how to tap into that, and how to be aware of the different rhythms that are wanting to be expressed through you or wanting to be recognized by you. First of all, you have to recognize that it's not all one rhythm, and you're not just one. And you as a human don't just have one rhythm for you. There's
Yeah.
multiple rhythms for you.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think we do maybe like one starting point for you guys, if anyone's interested to do this, to tap into this a little bit more, is we created an reflection and intention setting worksheet for last year and then coming into this year about, releasing what wants to be released and looking at what intentions and feelings we want to bring in for this year. So we invite you to have a look at that. That can be found on our link tree on Instagram, but it's also on our website, sustainability5.com. Um, did you have anything else to add about rhythms, Amie?
Yeah, I just had one. I went for
Yeah.
a facial this evening, and I always
Mm,
kind of zone out when I'm there, but I had this kind of, I don't know if it's like a breath work that came to me, an
mm,
exercise that I felt like, okay, here's an offering that I can gift that's going to help you tune into these rhythms if you're not familiar with them, or even if you are, just in opportunity to tune into the rhythms and to listen. And it's a very simple kind of breath work exercise, or just a breathing exercise. Literally all you have to do is breathe and think. It's fine.
Mm,
It does not require much more than that. But I was thinking about, as I was lying there, I was thinking, okay, how often do we come back from a break and we feel like, wow, I'm not ready to go back to work? Like, what is that? What has not been honored within me that is not ready to go
mm,
back to work, or ready to speed up yet? Um, and so often what I've noticed is that our generation goes away and we spend time in nature, and yet we're in nature taking photos of nature and making sure all our friends know we're in nature, and we're spending all this time doing hikes or activities in nature, but we're not actually slowing down our bodies or listening when what our
yeah.
body really wants. And this is different for everybody, but for so many of
Mm,
us, and I know this is true for me, what my body wanted this time when I went away was to not be on social media, to not be on my phone, to
yeah.
not have heaps of planned activities, to not do any of that.
Mm,
My body just wanted to slow down to that like really minute pace, like literally where I get so slow that I get bored. It was important for me to get that kind of slow. And I think so often we go away and if we don't come back into our everyday life feeling like, wow, I'm ready to go, perhaps it's that we've spent time in nature, but we really haven't been present with it. We've been worried about what everyone else is going to think
mm,
of it, or planning activities or whatever. Or perhaps we don't even spend that time in nature and we're just in festivals and stuff. Everything is perfect, because if that's what helps you thrive, then that's perfect for you, because it's different for everybody. But I'm just saying, if you come into this time and you're like, I'm so not ready to come back to work, then what has not been honored
mm,
there that your body is requiring or needing, or your soul is requiring or needing right now, that, and think about how can you gift yourself that, even if it's just an hour or 30 minutes where
yeah.
you can make that time for yourself. That awareness is going to be really healthy as you enter, this phase where we begin to speed up into our year. Um,
Yeah.
so the
Yeah.
activity that I had is basically just to spend some time. All you need to do is sit, close your eyes, and breathe. And as you breathe and you just get really present in your body, breathing into your body, I want you to think about the different areas of your life where there's rhythms. So I want you to think about um, the rhythm of your relationship if you have a significant other. What is that feeling like? What does your body feel like when you picture that? So if you are sitting with your eyes
Mm,
closed and you're just breathing, and you put that picture in your mind's eye and you focus on it and really give your attention to it, as you're breathing, what does that feel like? What does your body
mm,
experience as you feel that? Is there a rhythm that needs to speed? Is there a rhythm that needs to slow there? But how does your body respond? And just notice what that feels like for you. And then if you're
mm,
a parent, perhaps bring your children there and put your focus there and feel into that. How does my body feel when I'm focusing on that
mm,
and I'm breathing? What rhythm needs to change there? Is the rhythm perfect? Do I feel great about that rhythm? Or do I notice that there's some tension and maybe the rhythm needs to slow? Maybe the rhythm needs to speed up. Maybe the rhythm is just not quite right. And I want you to go through each area, each rhythm that you're, each major rhythm that you're noticing in your life. So whether it's work or relationships or friendships or whatever, and just take the time to pay attention to how your body feels when you're breathing and you're focusing on that. How do those rhythms need to change? Do they need some adjustment for you to feel like you're thriving and you're really enjoying those rhythms and they feel good to you? Or are they right? And it's just a simple activity, but I think what it does is it
mm,
it brings it back to you, and you can recognize that when you're not constantly looking at everyone else's rhythm on social media, like everybody's going to
mm.
parties or everybody's like spending this time outside or whatever, you're able to recognize where that rhythm is right for you and where it's not. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it's super important to do that.
Yeah. Totally. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Amy. I love how
So good.
our body always knows, but
Yeah,
we've just
always
become
knows.
so disconnected with how to listen to it because,
Yeah.
we're pumping our bodies with, let's admit it, a lot of shit that
Yes.
is, really disconnecting this connection that we can have from our bodies. So, like you said, it's so important to do something every day. Really, we need to be
Mm,
getting out into nature every day and, at least doing some, no one really needs to do anything, but cultivating some sort of relationship with your inner being every day will change your life. It will.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And by no means do Amy and I have it figured out, just so everyone knows. We, this
I do.
stuff,
I do. I don't know about you, but I do.
yes, yeah, all right. I'm speaking for myself.
I'm joking.
It's a constant daily battle, like
Yeah.
trusting and surrendering and, working through limiting beliefs. Um, yeah, you have to put in a lot of work, but I think the rewards are mammoth.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they show up in every area of your life. So, if
Yeah.
there's, it's the best gift you can give yourself.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
And I
So,
think for those of us who really, really have cared about the future and do care about the future of our industry as fashion outside of
yeah,
ourselves and what we require as human beings, like for us who are working in that space and really, really care
yeah,
about that, the future of that industry, it is so important that we're recognizing rhythms. For those of us who are entrepreneurs in that space or designers in that space, creatives in that space, whatever you're doing in that space, it is so important that we recognize rhythms. And because literally what that allows you to do is to model Mother Earth. She has so many rhythms and she is like
mm,
the ultimate. I mean, honestly, how can you even talk about sustainability without talking about her? It's just not even possible. So,
yeah,
recognizing those rhythms and returning to different rhythms rather than just one
yeah,
set one is returning to a way of being that is so much closer to nature than what we're currently operating at. And so it is it is a lot. It requires more awareness than just
mm,
taking the prescribed I call it the 12-step program of like recycle, renew,
yeah.
use
Even though that's
organic fabric,
important.
blah, 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 blah. It is a lot, it does require
Mm,
a lot more from us in terms of our presence and our willingness to kind of realize that there is no prescribed way, but it is so much more rewarding as well. It is so much more
yes,
rewarding because what I truly believe is that all of us are desiring deeper connections within our lives, which is why we're
yes.
so obsessed with social media, but also what has taken us
Mm,
so far away from our connections. And in order to do that, we have to return to our rhythms and to knowing our rhythms and to cultivating connections within our lives. And so um, I don't know where I
mm.
was going with that, but
No, totally agree. And this really actually delves into our element of self. So we have our
yeah,
5 core elements of sustainability 5.0, and one of the elements is self, and
yeah,
looking at sustainability of the self. Not only the
such a
sustainability
freaking
of the outside, but the
yeah,
sustainability of our inner world. And that
yeah,
isn't being talked about. And this is what we're talking about here. It's everything on the your inner world transmits into your outer world. We really undervalue that. And it's just how things work. And we really, really need to start, yeah, looking within before we look out. Yeah.
so you on I think about it, the penny drops in and we're like, holy shit, like if we just look at what's happening with creatives in the industry, if we look at the levels of mental health issues, the levels
Yes.
of stress within the industry that take place at an individual level, how many great designers have
Mm,
committed suicide? Like, just look at that alone. Look at that alone. And then just
yeah.
project that self outwards and look at our industry. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that that is why our industry is the way that it is, because everything
Mm,
begins with the self. If we as designers and creatives do not have a sustainability of self, if we don't have sustainable
exactly.
relationships with ourselves, if we don't have sustainable spiritual relationships, what do we have? We have an emptiness and
Exactly.
a void, and all of that is being projected outwards, and that is exactly why our industry is where it is at today. And that is exactly why Anya and I are
Exactly.
so fucking passionate about this work and being able to be guides and doulas and just helping people return to that self, that connection with self, and those connections with those five elements is because when you can cultivate a sustainability of self, you really have the opportunity to create a sustainable industry, but it really begins here with the rhythms of the self, with the sustainability of the self within me as the creative and as the designer and as the human being. Like, it's not just the fashion
Mm,
industry that's unsustainable, it's our entire way of operating in the Western world, or in the majority
exactly.
of our world at the moment. And that's returning back to that.
Exactly. 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 Well, can you hear me, Amy? I think you've been cutting out a little bit.
As a, um,
Amy? Just
you're
got,
cutting out
yeah,
a
got
bit
the
too.
little circle happening.
It's
um,
like you have to sit in
so
the
perhaps
exact right
unless you
space. I'm
wanted to,
outside of my office, but I'm
yeah.
like, don't move. My hands got cramp.
Oh no. Was then, yeah, I feel like I think that's a really nice note to finish on, unless you had
Yeah.
something else to add, Amy.
No, I think that's perfect. I think that's, um, I mean, if anyone has questions, feel free to drop them
Yep,
below or
question.
send us a message, or even if you just want to chat, go for it. Um,
Yes, yeah, please.
We'd love to chat. We'd love to, if there's anything you
Yes.
want to chat about in the future, if there's anything you
Mm,
want us to do a live on, please let us know. We'd love that.
yeah.
Um,
Yes, yes.
but yeah, I mean, tonight I think you just got to have a little look into our general conversations with each other, and
Mm,
hopefully give you a bit of insight into, why we feel that we've been called to bring through Sustainability 5.0. But yeah. No, I don't
yeah.
have anything else to add.
Yeah, and yeah, like I mentioned before, we have our intention and reflection setting worksheet.
Yeah.
If that is of any help to you, yeah, have a look, use it if it feels right. If it doesn't, that's fine too. Um, and yeah, and hopefully we'll be getting on another live to rant on again next week. Yeah, so thank
Awesome.
you for joining us. And
Yeah.
yes,
Thanks
send
so
us
much for joining
comments
us,
and
guys. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys.
we
We'll
would
put
love
the
that.
link to this in the website.
Yep.
It'll be
And
up
the
to
link
play for
tree.
24 hours. Yeah, and the link tree.
And the link tree.
Um, and yeah, get in
Yeah.
touch and see ya.
You'll be, yeah, see you soon. Bye.
Bye, babe.
Bye.